Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review for the latest episode of Supernatural Damaged Goods. And this episode was boring as shit. I mean, they had the seeds for something good. Potential. But, as of we've had of late, it's just poorly executed. I mean, we get a wrap up of Nick's arc. Thank God that we had time for that. We get the lowdown of what was going on with Dean at the end of the last episode, culminating in kind of where our endgame scenario is going, but there was no tension. There was no really anything. I was just watching this and I was just like, oh, you're going from point A to point B and just making everything kind of fit into place. I'm like, okay, that at least works. You technically got things to intersect, but I didn't feel anything. I think that mainly is because of how these plot lines kind of converged and how we just keep having the same things happen over and over again with little to no variation other than certain players are mixed up differently and there's no real tension involved. So we start out the episode and Nick is continuing on his spree of trying to find Abraxas, the demon that killed his family. He's interrogating the demon partner of Abraxas and come to find out a hunter captured Abraxas. This one got away and it was just really uninteresting. They've tied Nick too closely to the Lucifer portion, in my opinion, and that's all he's good for, especially where he ends in this episode. He's just a tool. That's it. There was so much wealth and potential that could have been used from this character, and there's just okay. So he's doing it, and he like stabs the demon in one of the eyes after he gets the information from her, and we continue on. Dean is coming into Sam researching stuff about angels, which, I mean, he hasn't gotten to the archangels yet, but I mean, it's kind of fucking laughable at this point that they've been dealing with angels since season 4, and we're in season 14, and they have to keep going back to the lore again. But granted, I understand that sometimes you need a refresher and everything. Don't get me... Don't think I'm just going at this out of nowhere, but when the lore changes on an almost weekly basis, you kind of have to do this. But we'd see Dean as getting all these kind of things together, and I'm like, oh, I wonder what he's going to be doing. Said the person that saw the preview that Dean is going to be building something. So he's like, no, I'm just going to be going on a trip. I'm going to go see Mom, and then hug Sam, which of course we all know is going to set off Sam's radar. Something's not right. And we just get that throughout the whole episode. And he gets in with Donna. They're eating at a nice burger. Well, not a nice burger joint, but Donna said it's one of the best burger joints. Like, oh, okay. This doesn't suspiciously look like a last meal with a friend or whatnot. But Dean says, yeah, this is a pretty good burger. Pretty much tries to get her to tell him everything about what's going on with them. And it's pretty just bland. It's like, oh, okay, I would have rather actually you just not even given me that information to even try and relay. Because I'm just like, whatever, okay. Her and Jody are doing good with the girls. They're training them. They took down a nest. Alex killed like 2 monsters, and that's about it. And then pretty much tries to wheedle stuff out of Dean, which we know isn't going to help. Because he's like, I don't want to talk about it. And far be it from the show to actually move forward with character progression and Dean actually realize through 14 seasons of saying, I don't want to talk about it. Sometimes you got to talk about this shit, and then sometimes you can bounce off other people and find out other solutions to scenarios. He's, of course, doing his rotational death walk, which we'd had Sam do in, like, season 8. It's like, come on. So I'm like, I don't care. It's like, alright, whatever, okay. Goes to check in on his mom because he says that he's want to be selfish and wants to have one-on-one time with her. And Bobby evidently gets written out of this because he's not needed for these proceedings and gets shuffled off into a corner. Same with Cass, even though we don't hear hide nor hair of him. Whatever. And he's like looking around. He goes into Donna's shed and we see all these guy posters up. And that's mainly where he's starting to set up. He pretty much got his mom to go up to make like a Winchester special to get like the ingredients for that because we'd seen her shooting pumpkins because reasons. Like it gets to a point where I know I'm not trying to nitpick that we just see Mary shooting pumpkins, but there's nothing done with it. If you're not going to do anything with it or weed out any kind of character thing out of it or even a story thing out of it, why do we need to see it? I swear, this episode and this whole season pretty much gets validation to every teacher I've seen about like wordiness and everything. You must choose your words carefully. Granted, that doesn't mean you can't write something long, but it has to be meaningful, and everything you do needs to be important somewhere in this story or in this telling of whatever you're trying to write. Otherwise, you get a kind of Robert Jordan scenario in The Wheel of Time where I know half of these characters' names and the embroidery on their dresses, and it doesn't come into effect. Or their names are so similar or whatnot, and I'm like, is this one or this one? It just, like, wordiness for the sake of wordiness is an undoing, and just padding something out for your own pleasure kind of starts to screw with you. But we move on, and you could really just kind of boilerplate this down a little bit, and it's like, okay, Dean pretty much wanted his mom out. He starts getting to work on his thing, doing all this stuff, uses an 8-track. We get his montage of him building shit. Mary goes to the supermarket. The grocery boy that has somehow come to be friends with her and Bobby throughout their time, which hasn't been, I don't know. I don't know how much time has passed, but it's like, okay, that's kind of interesting. Says, oh, you usually don't really get much except like whiskey and all that kind of stuff. Whiskey and pumpkins is like, yeah. And crosswords is like, hey, whiskey makes crossword puzzles better. And then goes off. Nick then comes into effect because, oh, I wonder which hunter was the last one to, I don't know, be linked to Abraxas. Be awfully convenient if that person's name was Mary Winchester. He then proceeds to ask about Mary Winchester to the grocery boy. He's like, shuts him down, of course calls up Donna. Donna gets into effect and gets right into the corner of pretty much being fucked over. Because, I'm sorry, when we first met Donna, we didn't know how capable she'd be. But even though she's usually more used as comedic relief, she's come into her own as a hunter, and Nick, while a dangerous individual, is not super powered up or Lucifered up. Because Donna comes up, doesn't know exactly who Nick is, though I don't know why anybody wouldn't have put an APB out for Nick. Because he'd gotten out of the bunker. Shit really just starts to get, like, completely crazy and just like, really? You wouldn't keep tabs on Lucifer's vessel? I mean, shit, even people are kind of like, okay, Sam, you've kind of gotten through that stuff. Nick's been like Lucifer's vessel a hell of a lot longer, man. And, oh, that dude gets out into the world with no repercussions? Whatever. It allows them to somewhat make drama, but there's like no tension here. I'm like, I was getting to a point where I'm like, I really don't want him to kill Donna, but this is gonna probably be, if they do it, it makes sense because they don't give a shit about character deaths. We got that with fucking Charlie. Drama fuel. So I'm waiting for that fucking shit. So, Donna pulls him over, uses a cool, fingerprint scanner that can just instantly ID his ass, finds out it's Nick, and is like, oh, okay. And then she gets subdued and tased by him. I mean, she gives a little bit of a fight, but I mean, Nick has not been doing this as long, and even if you're going like, he was Lucifer's vessel, Lucifer was lazy and efficient. So if he didn't have to punch something, he just... So I don't think that would really lead to Nick getting kung fu reflexes that fast. And he tased Donna, and strangely enough, didn't kill her. I mean, you're building him up to be this, like, bloodthirsty, crazy motherfucker, and you don't make him a bloodthirsty, crazy motherfucker. Whatever. So, they're able to get Donna, and she's like, oh god, she'd been knocked out and everything. It was just so kind of crazy. Fucking Sam's already on his way there because Dean and Mary had an awkward dinner and all that kind of stuff. But she went in and kind of saw what was going on, so she knows what's going on with Dean when he was asleep. Of course, Nick then gets to a point and takes her. Then, of course, while Dean goes outside to kind of check on Mom, that's, of course, when Sam runs into him, and they get hooked up with Donna, find out all about that. Nick has his playful little encounter with Mary, and there's just not even really any tension there. Nick can't kill her until he gets the Abraxas. Evidently, Mary had trapped him in an Enochian puzzle box, which, spoiler alert, they brute force, just like everything else in the show. So, they get, of course, it's a storage thing. You get this kind of cat and mouse thing where there's traps in there, but Nick's able to see them and all that. And they get to it. They get the box. And he's like, well, I'm going to open this up because I need to ask him about the stuff of why he killed my family and all that. And if you had led with any of this, they would have helped you. If you had just come to them and said, I need to learn more information about my family, I think that Sam would have been able to delegate at least one or two hunters. Now, granted, I understand Michael is a bigger threat, but I mean, it's not like they would completely ignore him and say, shut up and sit in the corner. But they'd even probably be like, listen, let's try and handle this Michael situation first, and then we will get to your family, because if the universe is destroyed, you're never going to know. Then I think Nick would be like, yeah, you're right, all right. Let me do what I can to help expedite this. But no, we get him acting as, I don't know, just an idiot. I want to find out about my family. Rawr, that's about the extent of it. So, Mary can't be possessed because she's got the tattoo. Nick can't get possessed because he's the one wanting to ask the question. So, guess what? Security extra, bringing you in. And, of course, he's trying to mess with the box and just decides to fucking drill a hole in it. And I'm like, if that's all it fucking takes, an Enochian puzzle box to keep a demon in ain't worth jack shit. Which, when we get to the whole part of what Dean was building, Len's just... Oh my god. I just thought of that. I don't even know anymore. But okay, Abraxas gets on the guy, and of course we get Donna and the rest coming in at the same point. Well, they come in a little bit later as Abraxas is like, hey, you kill her nice and slow, I'll tell you whatever you want to know. And of course they get in, and Nick is freaked out, decides to let Abraxas free, cuts the devil's trap. He's like, you're not special or anything. I was under Lucifer's order to kill your family, pretty much to make him a susceptible vessel. And then Nick kills him with an angel blade, and everybody's just pretty much cool. I mean, they shot Nick in the foot as well. I was like, well, I don't give a shit. There's this moment between Sam and Nick. He's like, yeah, I had the right to defend my family. I wouldn't do anything differently. He's like, well, Sam's trying to say, I didn't help you as much as I could have. I'm like, yeah, you fucking should have. But that's because your character would have helped him, but the writers are like, hey, plot reasons. Okay, yeah, whatever. And Nick doesn't give a crap, and he's pretty much now been cornered for when they need Lucifer. Because Donna takes him in, and that's about it. So the whole thing of Nick's storyline was he found out that a demon killed his family, that it was ordered by Lucifer to do it. He killed the demon. That's it. That was this whole episode. Dean's whole thing was farewell tour and to get to the point where he is building this box given instructions by Billy to contain an archangel and that he is going to put himself in the Pacific Ocean. Now, the Enochian puzzle box that is built to contain a demon can be drilled into to essentially fuck it over. What's going to stop somebody from doing that with your coffin and unleashing Michael in the world? How is this the only solution? Now, granted, they could pull a God forbid twist where it's like, hey, maybe Billy isn't being as forthcoming as she is, as she actually is. Like, she might be lying to Dean and that none of the other things changed and that she is trying to push her own endgame scenario here. I don't think that's going to work. Or it's going to go that way, but I mean, I don't even know anymore. Sam's wondering why Dean wouldn't let him in for this. He's like, you talked me out of it and everything, blah, blah, blah. This is my whole kind of thing. I'm like, you're just completely undoing your argument for why you forced Sam to live after the trials of season 8, because he was ready to die. That's not even brought up. Sam doesn't even bring that up. It's really kind of weird. Because the past is brought up at certain instances and everything with this kind of thing. And Dean's like, oh, he's like banging on the door in my head and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, so we're essentially going to have 2 Adam scenarios where one Michael is in the Pacific and one's in the cage. And I'm like, there's got to be some kind of other thing. Can't you just fucking genie Michael or whatnot? Is there no... I mean, you mess with the lore. It's really kind of stupid to be like, this is the only way to do it. I'm like, yeah, but I mean, there has been no word that you aren't coming back for another season, or this is the final season or whatnot. And I swear to God, if they end the final season by taking Dean and sticking him in a metal coffin in the Pacific Ocean and having Sam do his own kind of stuff, that's pretty fucking shit. Granted, I would think that it would be best case scenario, some world-ending, universe multi-ending things going down. They go out with their boots on, they're like jacked up. They've been turned into archangels themselves, and they decide to do a last stand for free will and all that kind of shit. And they die, and then God brings them back into a cool kind of world. That way you get both people, like you get the happy ending, and you get the boots off, dying ending. But I don't know how you can... I don't know. These writers can't pull it off. I don't know. It's just keep going in. Oh my God. And this one, I was so bored. I'm like, oh, okay. It seemed to drag interminably. Even though this had an important thing of, oh yeah, at the end, I didn't care. I'm like, I knew this is where this was going to go. And not that I have like some kind of clairvoyance or anything. I'm like, oh, okay, let's see. There's only certain scenarios, so Dean is going to have to build something to contain himself, because if Michael gets complete control of Dean, that's what's going to happen. So he's either going to have to build something to retain him on Earth, or have to get some kind of help to shut him off into the cage. Yeah. And we don't even get anything on Jack in this episode either. It's not like he could help or anything. I don't know, this was just boring. I'd tell you to skip this episode. The important takeaway is, Dean is building a box and he's going to throw himself in the Pacific Ocean to contain Michael. Please, you don't really need to waste an hour watching this, or if you DVR'd it, like 40 minutes. There's nothing here. There's not even really good character moments from any characters to get that. Even when there's the emotional scene between Sam and Dean about the whole thing, I felt nothing. I'm like, maybe that's just because this is season 14 and we've done this song and dance so many times and they don't change it up or vary it enough or put any actual consequences on this. You're like, okay, yeah, this would be more tense or intense if we didn't know that, okay, there's probably another season coming and this show is about Sam and Dean, so it'd be really kind of weird. Unless they had the balls to actually fucking do it. And I wouldn't recommend watching this episode. It's just, because at least with some of the bad ones, you can at least have kind of fun with it and revel in their badness. But this one was just like, okay, that happened. So those are my opinions on the episode. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.